Hey, it's Lemon. Welcome to the Backlogs. How's Elden Ring's DLC treating you? Yeah, me too. Which is why today, we're gonna take a nice relaxing break from the Lands Between and play some Cult of the Lamb. For those of you who aren't familiar, Cult of the Lamb is a strange mixture of roguelike, base builder, and action-adventure game, tied together with one of the most adorable art styles I've ever seen. And I love it. But after playing the game normally for a little bit, I realized something. It's kinda easy. So you know what that means. It's time for a challenge run. And what better way to beat the game for the first time than by making the game beat itself? It's time to find out. Can you beat Cult of the Lamb without weapons or curses? Excuse me, something stuck in my throat there. Anyway, let's get this party started. This very somber, terrifying party. You know, I think we may have taken a left when we should have taken a right. Alright, backstory. Apparently, there's some sort of prophecy about lambs in this world. What that prophecy is exactly, I don't know. But the 4 bishops of the old faith here certainly seem determined to make sure it doesn't come true. Oh, hello there. Do you mind cutting these ropes? They're making it very hard to get away. You're aiming a little high. Huh. Well, this is new. So, good news, bad news. The bad news is that we died. So there's that. But the good news is that this friendly-looking gentleman here is more than happy to bring me back to life. And all it'll cost us is starting a cult. What a bargain! You know, I'm starting to think I might not have a choice here. But in any case, the one who waits gives us his hat, and therefore a portion of his power. And so it begins. Ah, look, he's happy.
You know what makes me happy? Capitalism, which means it's time to thank today's sponsor, Eiyuden Chronicle 100 Heroes. 100 Heroes is a JRPG that takes all the classic roots of the genre and adds several quality of life improvements to the formula. Create a party from a roster of 100 separate characters, all with their own backstories and skills, and set off to save the nations around you from the oppression of the Imperial Empire. Travel across the world in search of allies and loot, both of which you'll find in large supply, and test your tactical skill in both small-scale battles against a wide variety of enemies, as well as large-scale battles that will determine the overall outcome of the war. And remember, this isn't a game where you can simply mash A and expect victory. You'll need to plan your battles, using specific damage types, hero combos, boss gimmicks, and the initiative timeline of each battle to your advantage. Unless you want to mash A, in which case the game has an auto-battle feature. Create strategies and priority actions for all of your characters, allowing you to rush through any trash mobs that get in your way, while making sure your party doesn't use any precious resources unless absolutely necessary. And remember, this is just a 60-second ad. There's so much more to the game than I can cover here. So if you need more information, you can check out the dedicated video I made on the game, or click on the links in the description and pinned comment down below. Back to you, Lemon. Oh god, what was that? I had the weirdest dream. It almost felt like a commercial. Anyway, time to run away while screaming. I have a weapon now, but killing enemies with it is against the rules. But no one said anything about killing rocks, and we're free. Oh, hello there. You seem friendly. This is Ratau, the previous vessel of the One Who Waits. He's seen better days. I run onto the next screen, and we're stuck. There's a boatload of enemies here, but unlike the previous screen, I can't just cut and run. I need to kill them to progress, and therefore fail the challenge. And that's not the only brick wall either. If we were somehow to find a way to get past the screen, the next one requires me to save another poor soul about to be sacrificed by killing his captors, which, for obvious reasons, would be against the rules. However, there is a way around this problem. If we start a new game, we can tick the option for Quick Start, which skips all the tutorials and gets you right into the action. And there you go. Tutorial skipped, no enemies killed. But before we go explore our new base, we're gonna save the game. You'll see why in a minute. Welcome to the Glade, our little slice of heaven. Hell? To be determined. And here's our first follower. When we indoctrinate them to the cause, we get all sorts of options. We can change their name, completely customize their looks, steal their social security number, and look over their traits. And that right there is why we saved. Back to the main menu, quick load the game again, and back down to our follower. A quick scan of their traits, and nope, quit and load again. Now, some of you are probably wondering what the heck I'm doing here. And the answer is simple. Every time we load the game, the follower gets new traits. While this level of save scumming is annoying, and I won't ever do it again throughout the run, this challenge run can literally not get off the ground unless our first follower has a specific trait, Royal Pooper. This trait, which takes a whole 10 minutes of resetting the game over and over again to finally get, makes it so that all of the followers' poops are golden. Which means that when I inevitably have to clean this guy's poop off the floor, it'll actually generate a good chunk of gold coins as well. And as you'll see shortly,
this is actually going to be our only way to make gold for a while, and we need that gold to even start the game proper. So with that out of the way, we welcome Thedgel to the cult, assign him a task, then begin preparing our base. There's all sorts of rocks, trees, and berry bushes to clear out, with each item giving some of that resource when you do. When you've got enough resources, you can make new objects for the base. After internally panicking about where to put it, I get a cooking fire planned out, then let Thedgel finish it while I focus on other things. And after an entire day and night of non-stop physical labor, the base is clear of most of the resources around the map. Not bad for one day of hard work. And would you look at that? Thedgel's getting hungry. Better make some chow. We can make a basic berry bowl from all those berry bushes I've been collecting, which normally has the negative side effect of a 15% chance of making my follower poop instantly. But in this case, that's exactly what I want. Come on. Come on. Dang it. Well, back to laborious labor. And since we're just waiting around for Thedgel to relieve himself, I decided to also do some exploring. Oh look, lore. And look, door. And also, more? Okay, I'll stop. Looks like we need followers in order to open each of the doors, and we have the one required to open up the next level, the Darkwood. With our powers combined, the door to the Darkwood is opened, but let's hold off on exploring that for now, because it turns out we can actually explore other areas in the overworld as well, like this lonely shack. Not a whole lot going on over here. There's some berry bushes we can gather, a shrine that gives me some devotion, which we'll talk about later, and Ratau's house, where we can not only check in on the little guy, but also play a dice game called Knucklebones. The game is simple enough. Just put your dice on the board and earn as many points as they have dots. Put two of the same kind in the same column, and you can double the points of that pair. Put the same dice as your opponent into the column across from theirs, and you'll remove any dice of that same number. The explanation is actually more complicated than the game itself, and once you play a round of it, you can figure it out pretty quick. The game ends when one player's board is completely full, and wouldn't you know it, beginner's luck. Ratau will be willing to play Knucklebones for gold from here on out, but we're a little short on that at the moment, is what I would say if Thedgel hadn't left a nice little surprise for us back at base. Golden poop acquired, giving me 1 piece of fertilizer and 22 gold coins. A strong start. Unfortunately, the next object I need to build in order to continue the game requires 30 pieces of gold, so we're gonna have to gamble with Ratau to earn that faster. Like stealing gold from a baby rat thing. And with our morally acquired gold in hand, we can now build a shrine in my honor. And there you go, progression system acquired. After telling Thedgel to focus only on worshipping me, I swing on over to the shrine itself, and here we can see the progress tree. Every time we have enough devotion from followers, which will be on display at the top of the screen, we can unlock a new building blueprint. The first one is the temple, which will let me give sermons and perform rituals. Very important. And because of all our hard work yesterday, we can build a temple right away. And with that complete, let's see what other things we can do. Inside the temple, I can summon all of my followers to a sermon, which upon activating will give me energy equal to their devotion levels. Because Thedgel is a bit new to this whole idol worshipping thing, he's only at level 1, so we'll need 2 more energy before we can unlock anything. Cult goals, we got them. I continue to gather devotion throughout the day, meditating on occasion to speed up the process, until I finally unlock the next building blueprint. Looks like we can either unlock sleeping bags or farm plots. Well, you know what they say, lamb cannot survive on the word of me alone. Time to play some Stardew Valley. Huh? Oh, right, sorry. So, slight problem. In order to make a farm plot, we need grass. And despite there being grass literally everywhere, I can't gather any of it. But I can gather it from inside the Darkwood. A few quick cuts with my weapon, and there we are. Several clumps of grass. Just what we needed. Now, unfortunately, the next room contains enemies, which I'm not allowed to hurt. So the best I can do is scoot around them while collecting all the grass that will fit in my pockets, then sit patiently while they beat me to death. When you die, you lose a certain percentage of any items that you collected while inside the dungeon. But we do get to keep some of the grass we found. I get chastised by Dad for dying, get chastised by my follower for dying, which is very brave coming from someone in sacrificing range, then make a farm plot so I can feed the ungrateful cur. Plant the seed, water the earth, and apply fertilizer if you have any. Oh yeah, you're right. We haven't named the cult yet. Well, that's an easy one. Perfect. And after getting the sign of approval from Thedgel, he gets a strong boost in devotion. If we can fill that bar, he'll be at level 2, making many of the tasks he does throughout the day much more effective. And this is basically the rotation for the next hour or so. Collect golden poop for money, meditate outside my shrine to collect devotion, and collect resources as they slowly reappear on my base. Eventually, I decided that one farming plot wouldn't be enough, so I made the trek into the Darkwood a few more times, collecting as much grass as I could, before ending each journey with my inevitable death. At night, I would pass the time catching random bugs while my followers slept, catching fireflies for a little extra devotion here and there, and spiders for, it's probably best if we don't tell Thedgel about this part. Rinse and repeat each day, keeping Thedgel as happy as I can in order to balance out the negative feelings he has when I die collecting more grass. What, you want comfortable sleeping quarters now? What is this? Don't you look smug about yourself, I am your god! Another divine inspiration unlocked, where I definitely didn't cave to peer pressure, and there you go, a sleeping bag. This better be worth my while. Oh hey, it was. He also gave me some sort of rock slab. Apparently, if we collect 3 of these, we can write new commandments for the cult. Can't wait to abuse the hell out of that one. Thedgel's second level also means that I get 2 energy from him instead of 1 during sermons, which lets me unlock my first crown power, Hearts of the Faithful, which permanently gives me half a heart. No complaints here. The cycle continues, with me taking care of basic things around the base, while Thedgel gives me his very soul, devotion, until I gain enough inspiration to unlock our next blueprint, the Body Pit, which I go out of my way to immediately craft. What? Just in case, you never know. What do you want today? Oh, okay. Thank you. Fun fact, when you pick a berry bush that's been fertilized with gold fertilizer, you get berries and financial gain. The gift that keeps on giving. Night 5 of constantly catching bugs and doing chores around the base. What I would give to have another follower. I think somewhere in the world, a monkey paw just curled. Well, can't just leave this lying around. Into the ground with ye. Oh, hey, it's Weber. You know, from Don't Starve. God, I miss that game. Well, we can't have Weber sleeping on the cold, hard ground. He just came out of that. All right, how do I make you sleep? Ah, there it is. Wait, what does that say? Give blessing. Oh, hey, I can just straight up give a boost to my followers' devotion levels once per day. That's pretty neat. All right, now go to sleep. You have a long day of praying ahead of you. Into the morning, where both of my followers give me enough energy for another upgrade, which, unfortunately, all seem to stem around the combat in the game. There's all sorts of weapon upgrades and curses, which are essentially the game's version of ranged magic, but all this is stuff I can't actually use. There's a few health upgrades sprinkled throughout the tree though, and sermons also give my followers a boost in mood, so holding the occasional homily is still important. You know what we need? More followers. And look what RNGesus provideth. These followers are meant to be a cost analysis. You gain 2 followers instantly, but were you ready for 2 more? What if they're already starving? Do you have enough food for everyone? Thankfully, because we've been playing base building simulator and not engaging with the dungeon delving outside of the occasional grass collection, our base is weirdly okay. In fact, better than okay. Helping our 2 new converts was barely a blip on the radar, and with their help, we're generating double the devotion. So much so that we can even upgrade the cult to level 2, going from this to this. Stone instead of wood, 2 extra seats, and a larger bank to put devotion in before collection. Oh, new quest. Weber wants a meal made completely out of grass. Funnily enough, that's harder than any other meal right now. But I am a benevolent god, and I hear the needs of my— What? Why? You asked for that! This game is weird. After that nonsense, I unlocked the missionary, which will actually let me send followers out to get resources. This is great, because now I don't need to go out into the dungeon. Are you serious right now, Weber? Stupid spider wants decorations. Alright, it's done. I've been feeding you your own family. I unlocked the offering statue, which lets followers drop off random items as they see fit, unlock a few useless upgrades with my sermons, unlock a lumberyard, which lets my followers generate wood, unlock its counterpart, the stone mine, cleaned up some poop, and then the big upgrade you've all been waiting for, demonic summoning circle. Possess a follower with a demon so that they can join you on your next crusade. And after a not insubstantial amount of effort, we've got it. Now to see if RNGesus hates me. Oh, thank God we're good. Each follower can be possessed by a specific demon type, of which there are 6. Of those 6, only 3 can do damage, and of those 3, only 2 are actually viable. Seen here in my research run, I learned very quickly that the bomb demon is fantastic for damage, but only works once. The bow and arrow demon is fine, but nothing special. And that run never got a sword demon, so this is exciting news. I also made the mistake of customizing a follower in that run into my wife Kat, who was then promptly murdered by Weber because he thought it was funny. What the fuck, man? Why are you such an animal? Hey, watch the shoes! Anyway, back to the real run. I've got Gretnian here with me, which means we should be able to actually attempt a dungeon clear today. Entering the lands of Bishop Leshy. Those who do not follow the way of the old faith will be destroyed. Sounds like a good time. Alright, let's see how this works. Allegedly, Gretnian is just supposed to attack every few seconds, but he doesn't seem to— Oh, wow, that works. So that took no time at all. And for our trouble, we get a temporary relic. This one gives us the ability to summon another demon for the dungeon, which, yeah, do let's. I also found Clonic, the tarot card reader, who gives you a buff whenever you find him in the dungeon. Today, we have the choice of an extra blue heart, or better loot from chests. Easy choice. Sadly, the demon we got from the relic doesn't actually do anything for us, but anything more would actually be extra at this point. And within a few short minutes, we've cleared the first layer of the dungeon, netting us some berry seeds, as well as a skull necklace, which will double the lifespan of a follower. From here, we get to choose our path to the end of the dungeon. As a general rule, we'll be picking a route that has the least amount of combat, and more often than not, I'll probably be picking rooms with natural resources, since most of the relics and items in this game boost your combat, which probably won't help me at all. I steal some devotion from Leshy, then give his idol a good smashing, let Gretyen do his thing, and more or less just move through the what is happening right now. Well then, it would appear I have the bishop's attention. After a few taunts, Leshy melts back into the ground. Back home, a sleeping bag collapses. Probably unrelated. However, Leshy's not quite done yet. With a few choice words, Leshy orders his follower to transform, and we come up against our first mini-boss. Gretyen does about 15% of the boss's health with each hit, which is great. The problem is that Amdusius can spawn enemies as he slugs his way around, which in turn distracts Gretyen, so the fight takes a bit longer than it should have. The fight itself is nothing too difficult. Just dodge the incoming fire, dodge the lunges, and the fight will finish itself. Which means we get 3 things. The first is a new follower, the second is a choice between several rewards, and the third is a chest full of golden coins, bones, and a commandment stone. On the way back to my base, the door develops the Red Ring of Death. Or, more likely, is just trying to tell me that there are 3 more bosses in the area. One of the two. And so the game cycle is fully realized. I come back to the academy, where Gretyen is exhausted from being possessed all day, and it's my job to do a sweep of the base, fixing up anything that broke, cleaning up messes that my followers made in my absence, and overall, just checking in on everyone. I tell Gretyen what a good boy he is, oh yes he is, give him the skull necklace, because I will not go through an entire run without a sword demon follower again, then send him off to sleep while I deal with this. I mean, I'm not gonna yuck your yum, but damn. I mean, we gotta watch, right? In regards to those commandment stones we keep getting, we can use them to unlock rituals. Unfortunately, the first ritual is chosen for us, so we're stuck unlocking the bonfire ritual. But I guess that's actually on brand for the Firebomb Academy, so I won't complain. I unlock Missionary Level 2, which makes it so that followers who go on missions have even more resource options to choose from, up to and including new followers. Finally get around to constructing the Level 1 Missionary building, then make the other building I unlocked, a refinery. This building will let you take simple resources, like logs, and pump out advanced resources, like wooden planks, which is exactly what we need for the leveled up version of the missionary building. But while we wait for those resources to refine, it looks like our favorite pupper is no longer exhausted, which means it's time to go back into the dungeon. Gretyen also leveled up since last time, which means that he does a little more damage now. I don't know if there's a level cap, but rest assured I will praise this boy until he hits it. I let Gretyen do his thing, which he slowly and methodically does, then meet Chemek, who, I don't actually know what he is, but he gives me relics and has a room filled with morsels and follower meat, so take that for what you will. Gretyen helps me free another pupper follower, which I gladly accept. I discover the annoyance that is moving water, and we eventually reach the second mini-boss. Similar to the last boss, this boss fight is all about dodging while sticking close enough for Gretyen to do his thing. Dodge the fireballs, the jump attacks, and the fireball breath machine gun, and the fight is over before you know it. That was actually easier, due to the fact that there weren't any minions getting in the way. Dad gives me the power to read my followers' minds, which is essentially just a way to read their stats and activity log, then it's back to business as usual. In the temple, I get myself another bit of health, and finally unlock the option to choose my own rituals. The first choice I go for is the work and worship tree, which lets me choose between making followers generate devotion faster, or having a faster work speed. Considering I do most of the work around the base myself, I'd much rather they help me unlock building blueprints faster. Back in the dungeon, the enemies are getting weirder, but are still completely doable. And it would appear that my recent success has gotten not just Leshy's attention, but the attention of 2 other bishops as well. Oh, hey, speak no evil, see no evil, hear no evil. I get it. I rescue some more followers, go on a relaxing berry-picking adventure, then encounter the third mini-boss. So while this boss itself is pretty easy, there's one problem that I'm currently running into. Because Barbatos attacks and runs so quickly, Gretyen doesn't attack. He's priming it up, but before he can commit, the boss runs off to the next location. Eventually, Barbatos' attack animation is just long enough that I can get a hit in. But that's certainly a problem if this happens on future, harder bosses. Anyway, it takes several minutes of accidentally stepping on spikes and getting a bit annoyed with the AI, but eventually, Gretyen decides he wants to participate. Dad gives me a new ritual, where I can sacrifice a follower to skip to the next level up, but considering we don't actually use those level ups, this probably won't get used. Wait, what? So if I sacrifice Weber will gain a boatload of faith, but if I don't, he'll lose 25. I unlocked some better shelters for my followers, which are less likely to break down, finally unlocked the upgraded missionary building, and continue to build my flock to exciting numbers. You know what, Weber? Cat is owed some level of vengeance. Let's see how this works. Okay, so how does this work? Do you just up and die, or— oh, Jesus wept! In other news, I have enough supplies to make the level 2 demonic summoning circle, which means we can now summon 2 demons at the same time when going on dungeon runs. And wouldn't you know it, one of the 10 followers I have can be turned into a ranged demon. Personally, I would have liked 2 sword demons, but you're only allowed 1 of each, so we'll take the next best thing. With the 2 demons in tow, combat becomes much quicker, with the ranged demon picking off any mobs that Gretchen misses. They sometimes even work in tandem, with the ranged attack stunning an enemy, and Gretchen finally remembering how to attack and finishing the job. You know what? You seem like you'd fit right in on my island of misfit toys. Welcome to the academy. Speaking of misfits, look at this guy. The top of your head is talking. Talking to the fisherman Fishman unlocks a new area for us. I'll have to check that out after the dungeon run. I find that relic that lets me summon another demon again. Dang it, not the bomb. Then push through to Leshy's door. Looks like it's time to fight one of the bishops. Hey Leshy, I'm here to— oh, is now a bad time? I feel like now is a bad time. Okay, so I'll just be going then. So it turns out, the previous bosses were all preparing me for this one. Each of their movesets was actually a piece of Leshy's, so as long as we don't panic, we should be okay. As per usual, Gretchen is having a bit of trouble with the timing, but our ranged demon is doing a fantastic job of chipping away at his health whenever Gretchen goofs up. And it's not like he doesn't have anything to do. Leshy summons several enemies throughout the fight, which Gretchen is more than happy to take care of for me. There's a couple attacks that are a bit tricky, like Leshy's dive bomb attack, and that wave of spikes he generates from time to time, but in the end, Leshy is no match for the boys, and he goes down without too much trouble. 1 bishop down, 3 more to go. I collect his heart, finally earn Dad's praise for my hard work, then celebrate our victory back at the base with hootin' and hollerin' and oh my god, there's so much poop. We need to invest in an outhouse. This is ridiculous. In other news, killing Leshy lets me pick from 1 of 4 new powers. We can sacrifice a follower to resurrect mid-dungeon, eat a meal in a dungeon once per run to gain a new heart, instantly return to base mid-dungeon run, or receive a diseased heart at the beginning of each run. I decided to make it so that I could return home if needed, but that diseased heart option is great for me, since that hurts all enemies around you when you take a hit. I'll have to grab that one next. I then pump another point into work and worship, making it so that I can inspire my followers rather than bless them, which will increase their levels more than it did before. How, you ask? Why, with the power of dance! I am the lord of the dance, after all. And with my follower count growing so large, I say it's about time we opened up the next area. I did make a quick stop back in the Darkwood to finish a quest, and there was a new boss, but it's nothing to write home about. In fact, the only thing worth noting is that beating the dungeon lets you push forward and do another run if you wish, collecting more rewards at the risk of your cult getting a bit out of hand while you're away. Good to know, but not something I need to be doing. Just outside the dungeon doors, Helob the Spider appears. He's always got a follower for sale if you're in need, and I am forever in need. This is definitely going to be where a majority of my gold goes, I can tell already. Oh, don't worry, I won't. We finally built an outhouse to relieve the cult of its pooping problem, no pun intended. Struggled to decide between teaching my followers whether to believe in sacrifice or believe in the afterlife, eventually settling on the latter. And because we've got the numbers now, I decide to unlock all the dungeon doors. That way, if something horrific happens to my cult, we can still access the rest of the game. What's up, Poppy? Wait, what? Aw, my poor pup, she's getting older. You know, this does bring up a good point. I'm doing my best to level up my followers, but I only have so long before they get old and die. And an elderly follower can't be turned into a demon, so I actually have even less time than that. Which means if we're going to play favorites, we need to beat the game sooner rather than later. Which means it's time for World 2, Anura. This dungeon is run by Hecate, Bishop of Famine, but she won't be around much. Wait, did you just summon one of my followers? Uh-oh. Well, that's gonna be a problem. Thankfully, I always leave about 5 or 6 meals on the ground before I leave on a dungeon run, so they're probably fine. But it is worrying that the bishops can just up and do that. I push my way through the first mini-boss with relative ease, then upgrade my cult to level 3. Oh, putting me up on a pedestal, I see. No pressure. I learn how to bring dead followers back to life, and because his best friend misses him, and because it's a quest, we bring Weber back from the dead. You better remember this, buddy. Everyone gets one. Worth noting, though, is Weber isn't a brand new boy. He's still 42 days old, which means bringing back followers is only good for when a follower dies earlier than you would have liked, and isn't a cure for old age. Good to know. I got kinda tired of constantly tending to the farm, so I unlocked and built a farming station so that my followers can do it for me, and even added a windmill thing that makes the crops go faster. I also built a prison, because I could. and you never know when Weber's gonna act up again, the little scamp. In actuality, a new follower arrived, but was already spreading lies and dissent. But don't worry, nothing a little prison time and reformation can't fix. Psst, hey buddy, if you stop spreading rumors and lies, I'll give you an extra treat at mealtimes. I thought you'd see it my way. Back in the dungeon, I find a bunch of mushroom men who show me how to reach the Spore Grotto, which I'll check out later, and then get assaulted by the 3 remaining bishops again. Despite their intimidation tactics, the cracks are starting to show. They're actually scared of me. You feeling alright there, pal? Hecate demands that I bow to her, which is an obvious no, but she doesn't take too kindly to that and converts every room into a combat room. Cool, my favorite. But in the end, it was the mini-boss that was the true struggle. Eligos here only has about 3 attacks, but one of those attacks is a minion swarm. Thankfully, my ranged demon can take out half or all of the swarm with a single shot, but this attack throws Gretchen for a loop every time it shows up. So that's slowing the fight down a bit. Another mini-boss down. Moving on. I unlocked the good die young doctrine, since I have a feeling I'll be sacrificing villagers left and right at some point, and don't want it to affect my flock. Send a few followers out on missions to get us some much needed supplies. Do my best to mitigate that problem by making a bigger farm, and overall just keep the peace while building up our cult in every way I can. I even went out of my way to build propaganda speakers to boost devotion, just in case anyone started getting any funny ideas. You know, this is my first time playing the game, but is it supposed to be like this? I feel like I have way more followers than I'm supposed to have at this point in the game. Oh my god! Who did this? In any case, I've fully upgraded the cult to level 4. There's still plenty of building blueprints and other upgrades to get, but at this point it's more about automation and finishing the dungeons than anything else. So let's do exactly that. Because my last ranged demon got old and died of natural causes, I found a new ranged user, who I'm hoping will be the one who finishes off the run. Welcome to the Goon Squad, Alarna. We have work to do. Hecate doesn't exactly take kindly to me hunting her down, and spreads a famine onto even more of my followers. But at this point, my cult is automated enough that they should be fine until I get home. We smash through the next mini-boss, who doesn't offer much in the way of a challenge, make sure everyone is good and full while I restock on fruits and vegetables, then unlock a new way to reward my followers for their years of service. The murder action would be faster and easier, but they're all super cute and adorable, and I would just feel bad. The new method of sending my followers to the afterlife is much calmer, and actually gives all of my followers a huge loyalty boost. So that's useful on multiple fronts. The only problem is there's a cooldown, so we can't just send everyone to the Great Beyond at will. Speaking of the Great Beyond, it's time we sent Hecate. She does her best to slow me down by summoning pseudo mini-bosses, but with Alarna at +3 and Gretchen at +7, our DPS is pretty wild at this point. Which means it's only a few minutes until we reach Hecate herself. And let me tell ya, I'm glad we waited up to this point, because this fight is an absolute nightmare for a pacifist run. Throughout the entire battle, an unlimited number of frogs spawn on the sides of the arena. Combined with the swarms of flies that Hecate belches out from time to time, my followers are having a heck of a time focusing. The best strategy I was able to come up with was to run down to the bottom of the arena, lure the mobs over towards me, then sprint back towards Hecate and pray that my followers would choose the closest target. It wasn't great, but we got there. Which means it's time for Hecate's second phase, where she summons even more enemies, followed by her licking entire swaths of the map, which is hard to dodge, but easier to work with than her last phase in terms of getting my followers to attack. And after several minutes of sprinting in circles, we've done it. Hecate is dead, and we've only got 2 more bishops to go. All hail the Lord of the Dance. Long may he nay. Well, Baba in this case, I suppose. Honestly, things are going smoothly at this point in the run. My followers are pulling their weight more than I ever thought possible, the dance parties are moving to the grooving, and the next dungeon, Anchor Deep, is proving to be only slightly harder than Anura was. The next bishop, Calamar, has the unfortunate power of Pestilence, which means I'm going to have to do some cleanup and sick care when I get back to the base, and the mini-bosses are getting a bit harder to deal with, but there's enough upside to outweigh the negative, like the fact that I can marry a follower now. So that's a thing. I also unlocked the cheaper ritual and shorter cooldown upgrades, which makes sending all those elderly followers into the afterlife a lot easier, and I built an actual sickbay that lets me heal my followers at the cost of flowers, which might as well be free, considering I've been growing a few here and there in the garden. Which means, despite Calamar's best attempts to deter me, his threats of making my followers sick don't really hold any true weight. I quickly rip through the next mini-boss, clean up the mess that Calamar left for me, then unlock the Loyalty Enforcer Doctrine, which means I can pick a follower to run around each day and build up the loyalty of my cult for me, further automating my daily routine. You know what? Weber's been on his best behavior ever since I resurrected him. Why not? Enjoy the new hat. Why do I get the feeling I just made a terrible mistake? I also bumped into Plimbo, a sailor who deals in antiques. You know, I just realized I haven't actually been to all of the new areas I've been unlocking this entire time. I should probably do something about that. Another mini-boss down, who's barely worth noting as far as difficulty goes. And then, to celebrate this run being almost over, a wedding. Gretchen has been my faithful companion this entire run, and there's honestly nothing better than marrying your best friend. I don't think this actually does anything, aside from spread good vibes, but hey, good vibes are always welcome. Now then, I have a feeling we're nearing the end game with our build, if you can even call it that, so let's check out the other random tidbits the game has to offer before we do. Over in the Pilgrim's Passage, we can catch fish with the Fisherman Fishman, which is a very similar minigame to Stardew Valley's fishing, but not nearly as annoying. If we catch one of the 4 rare fish that our guy here is looking for, he'll actually give us a piece of red rock. Collecting 4 of these lets us unlock new clothing, which actually does have some neat and powerful effects, but we'll need a few more pieces before we can capitalize on that. There's also these weirdos. These guys are just upset that their lighthouse isn't lit anymore. That's an easy fix. And with that, we now have more cultists that aren't actually on our base. And my favorite part? They sing. They also sell some tarot cards to add to my deck, like one that gives me extra resources in the dungeon, or makes me drop a bomb when I get hit. Yes, please. Moving on to the Spore Grotto, it's essentially the same thing. I find a card that makes enemies take damage when I roll through them, and a card that spawns an angry tentacle when enemies hit me. I also found Sozo, the mushroom collector, who will teach me how to brainwash my followers if I bring them enough mushrooms. Yeah, I think I'm good on that one, thanks. But he did give me a 4th piece of that red rock we've been collecting, so we have that to look forward to. Off to Smuggler's Sanctuary, where Plimbo is, you guessed it, doing the exact same thing. Plimbo sells a card that makes you drop poison every 10 seconds when you roll, a card that lets me destroy rocks simply by stepping near them, and a card that makes me drop bombs every 10 seconds when I roll as well. Oh heavens, yes. And back at base, we have a few upgrades to unlock as well. We've got the Grass Eater trait, which means my followers will be happy just eating grass if we run low on food, and with our shiny red rock, we can unlock some new clothes. Most of them aren't particularly helpful for our run, but this Fleece of the Diseased Heart might work in our favor. Every time we gain a tarot card on a run, we also get a diseased heart. We also get poisoned, which sucks, but hey, damage for damage. And with those final bits of upgrades to my build, I think it's time we went after the final 2 bishops. Yes sir, nothing can stand in my... Wait, what? Well, this is a surprise. There's an enemy that I literally can't kill. According to the wiki, the only way to break its shield and do damage to it is to attack its yellow projectile and reflect it back. And by the looks of things, my demons can't do that for me. So yeah, that sucks. Let's reset the dungeon and try again. Thankfully, on my next run, I find not only the Bomb Tarot card in an upgraded format, but there's also a path that leads right to the boss with 0 combat rooms. Perfection. And on the final set of rooms leading up to the boss, I even found the Iker Lingered card. This is gonna be fun. In any case, it's time to face the next story boss, Calamar, the 3rd bishop, and an absolutely terrible squid pun. This fight was hectic as hell. With my new upgrades, I basically just rolled around the map at high speed, dropping puddles and bombs everywhere while my demon buddies did additional damage on the side. That said, Calamar is certainly the hardest boss I've faced so far, with all sorts of bullet hell attacks and the largest health bar I've seen yet. But despite things getting a bit messy towards the end there, I drop one final bomb at his feet and blast the squid back to the watery depths from whence he came. Presumably. The Firebomb Academy celebrates another victory, and after a totally normal sermon, we can move on to... snakes. Why is it always snakes? Oh, okay, we're talking to the snakes now. Apparently, this is extra content from the latest DLC. Essentially, we have access to a new resource called Sin, which we can use to decorate the temple. I think that's all it's for? I'll be honest, I was so hyper-focused on finishing the run that I didn't really pay that much attention. Also, my followers are nakedly dancing around a maypole now, so that's happening. Oh hey, Gretchen wants to be my disciple. I guess that makes him my right-hand man, which means that he can help with a few other tasks around the base. I mean, you are already my best bud, but sure, let's make it official. Aw, look, it even comes with a little halo. Anyway, enough of that. Let's go murder shit. The Silk Cradle, the final dungeon. Unsurprisingly, this dungeon is full of spiders. And while it was probably supposed to be hard if we did this game properly, Gretchen is officially maxed out at level 10, and does massive damage with every attack. And Alarna is no slouch either. Combine this with the Kin of Teruah card I just found, and we should have an easy time clearing the mini-boss. Oh hey Shimura, you should probably give up now. My followers are pretty set back at base. Wait, what? Oh no! Oh, that's literally the worst possible power. Well, sorry little buddy. Can't have you getting in the way. I promise I'll bury whatever's left of you back in the crypt at base. Yep, definitely won't feed you to the masses. As expected, the tentacle power is extremely overpowered, and make short work of the boss and its minions. But it's still disappointing that we're gonna lose followers while completing this area. Sheesh. Between the unintended murdering of a follower and a few natural deaths back at home, things are not going well at camp. Even Alarna is upset with me, to the point of actually dissenting from the cult. Nothing a little re-education can't fix, but if one of my favorite followers has hit this point, it just goes to show how bad things are getting. I make a bunch of grass bowls for everyone, because a follower's faith is connected to their stomach, fix Alarna's confusion and release her from prison, then push forward to finish the game. The mini-bosses are interesting, but nothing worth mentioning as far as difficulty goes. And honestly, the worst part of this dungeon was the constant converting of my own followers against me. Thankfully, the only two I care about are here with me as demons, so they're safe from Shimura's powers, but still, this sucks. We kill the final mini-boss of the dungeon, a giant scorpion of some kind with poisonous range attacks, and then, it's time. Time for the final bishop, Shimura, Bishop of War. And unfortunately for her, I have a trick up my sleeve today. You know that tarot card that does damage to enemies whenever I roll? Guess who found that on his way to the fight? I'll be honest, I was expecting more from this boss. But after only a few minutes of rolling violently around the room, Shimura and her brood are nothing more than curled up corpses on the floor. Which means it's finally time. Time to free the one who waits from the shackles placed on him by the bishops of the old faith. I make my way to the gateway, and with the support of all my followers, we are able to open the portal, sending me into the ethereal plane where he who waits has been held captive for centuries. This is it, the moment he's been waiting for. But I have to wonder, has it been through his power that we've been so successful, or my own? Now hold on, I kinda figured I wouldn't make it out of here alive, but nobody said anything about my followers. No, this I will not allow. They're the only reason that you're this close to freedom, and a true leader doesn't step on those who follow him in order to make himself look tall. Time for the final fights. First up is Baal. With no tarot cards to rely on this go around, we only have Alarna and Gretchen as our weapons of choice, and they're doing a fantastic job. Down goes Baal, which means it's time for the one who waits his next lackey, Am. Am is a bit trickier since he focuses on rapid-fire ranged attacks, but in the end, he's no match for my friends either, which means it's time for the one who waits himself. Thankfully, Alarna and Gretchen's damage stays strong, so we won't have to survive long. But the one who waits does make it difficult to get close enough for my friends to attack him. But despite his best efforts to fend me off, Alarna gets a final hit in and brings him down. Or so I thought. Hey, who turned out the lights? Never mind. You can turn them back off again. Oh, okay. We're doing that now. Cool. Well, this is it. It's all come down to this. Maneuver through the bullet hell, pop the one who waits his eyeball, then continue further into the bullet hell until you can do it again. And if somehow, some way, you can make it through all three phases, then you can finally destroy the one who waits with a well-deserved wombo combo. Blame my vile acts on you. Oh, my sweet baby boy, I never did. And so, we are left with a choice. Save the god that tried to enslave us, or end his existence. I think we all know what I chose. And with that, we've done it. Cult of the Lamb beaten without using weapons or curses. Oh look, permadeath mode. Interesting. This was a lot of fun. This game was a wonderful change of pace for me, and honestly was everything I wanted in a base building simulator, even if it wasn't intended to be one. In all honesty, I wouldn't mind playing the game again. Maybe next time we can play with 0 followers and permadeath. But until then, that's all I've got. Thanks again to Eiyuden Chronicle 100 Heroes for sponsoring the video, and as always, take care of yourselves, be good to one another, and I'll see you all again soon.